Thank you for joining us for this week's What of Christ moment. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button right now. You won't want to miss an episode. Good afternoon. It is Thursday, November 19th. Isn't that crazy? November 19th. We're exactly 1 week away from Thanksgiving. Just seems unreal to me. The year is almost over. But I want to come to you today and to thank you. Thank you for viewing over these last 4 months. Thank you for sharing over these last 4 months. And let you know that today is our season finale of the inaugural season of What If Christ. But we'll be back. We'll be back in January, and we'll come back with more guests and more stories of hope and more places to see Christ working in the midst of our lives, right where we are, even in the midst of difficult times. I started What of Christ in July of this year. So actually in the midst of COVID, I started What of Christ. But I believe that God was saying that in the midst of all that's going on, we need to share some stories of hope. We need to share stories so people can see that God is still God. And in all of that, the What If Christ actually was an idea that God laid on my heart over a year ago. But it was in the midst of COVID that He pushed me and said, now is the time. 2020 will be a year that will definitely go down in the history books. We've seen a world pandemic, we've seen racial unrest, and we've seen a national election, just to name a few things. So we'll be thinking about, referring to, and talking about 2020 for years to come. I want to give a special thanks to those who actually shared their What of Christ moment this season. I know for some it's a scary thought, but I just want to say a special thank you to them who were able to see Christ working in their lives and in their willingness to share it with the world, to let other people know that God is still working. He's still on His throne. He's doing things in their lives and in your lives. And the hope was that in seeing those stories from those very different people and the very different things that God was doing, that it would help you to be able to identify God working in your own life. Because God is always working. We're just not always seeing it. So that's my hope, that these stories will help you to see that God is still working. So special thanks to Joanna and Nikita and Jarrell and Rob and Michael and Ted and Jamie and Tom, to Aaliyah, to Hannah, to Alvin, and to Chip. And I hope that over the break, that you guys, if you haven't seen those stories, that you'll take 20 minutes and go back and look at their stories. Hear what God is doing in their lives. It is encouraging to know what God is doing all over this world. Over the past 4 months, I've learned a lot. I've learned how to use video editing software that I had not done before. I've learned to reach out and encourage people to share their stories. And I hope that each week I got a little bit better. And that's my goal, to continue to get better. But more than that, I hope each week that you were blessed by the stories you heard. Things to look forward to in the spring with What If Christ is to have it on a podcast, an audio podcast, where you can listen to it in your car or while you work out or on a walk. and to also include Bible studies with some, so you have some questions. Maybe you'll listen to this with a friend, and then you'll be able to talk about that and identify stories in your life. Now, it's important to set goals that are realistic, goals that we can achieve. But I think it's also important to have a goal every now and then that's beyond your reach, that only God can make happen. And my big God goal is to have every week filled, every week that I'm on air, to have it filled with a story from different people, people all over the world, people sharing their What If Christ moments, people encouraging one another. Remember, Revelations 12:11 tells us that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimonies. So our testimonies have power. Let's use our power to praise and uplift and glorify God and to draw others to Him. I want to encourage you to think about your story. Think about a What If Christ moment in your life. We all have a story. God is always doing things, and I would love for you to consider sharing your story. Remember, sharing your story can save a life. Share a story and save a life. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you in the spring. Have a wonderful holiday and be safe. Enjoy your Thanksgiving and your Christmas, and may God bless your homes, bless your lives in ways beyond anything that you can even imagine. Thank you for joining me for What If Christ. If you have any questions about salvation or even finding a local church, reach out to me at barbara@whatifchrist.com. Visit our website at www.whatifchrist.com.